Hello everyone, this is Raman and today we will talk about Selenium. So before starting the Selenium, I just want to emphasize on the concept test automation. So what is test automation? Test automation means using a software tool to run repeatable tests against the application to be tested. So these days you see that lot of web applications to run on the different browsers like Internet Explorer and Google Chrome, Firefox, etc. So if we create an application and that application is to be tested automatically, that process is called test automation. So what are the benefits or what are the advantages of this test automation? So this is my second question. So what are the different advantages? First one is that it supports frequent regressions testing. So what it means, in our software development, we do a lot of changes and these changes should not impact the existing functionality of the application. So if a test automation we apply for the testing of the application, it basically support that existing functionality should not be impacted with the new changes. Second, rapid feedback to the developers. So because it is automatic, so the report or the uh, bugs in the applications are given back to the developers. Third is the virtual unlimited iterations of the test case execution. So here basically what is happening, because it is not a manual testing, it is a automatic testing. So no manual or very less manual intervention is required in the testing. So what basically you can unlimited iterations of the test cases you can execute it here. You need not to ask a tester to involve all the time, okay, come over here and test it, because it is automatic. So unlimited iterations of test cases we can do. It supports agile and extreme development methodologies. So agile methodologies which we are using with the Scrum and the DevOps methodologies, all these methodologies we can use with the Selenium or the test automation techniques. Customized defect reporting. This is again which the feedback goes back to the developers or to the reporting team by saying that this application has these kind of defects. So that kind of reporting we can generate with the help of the test automation. Finding defects missed by the manual testing. So when we are doing a manual testing, means all the test cases are written manually, tested manually. So there may be a possibility that we can miss some of the functionality which is to be tested. So these kind of things will be covered by the test automation. Next question which comes into the mind is automation always advantageous? When should one decide automate the test cases? So this question basically indicates that do we always go for the test automation, or we need to go for the manual testing? So there are many situations where we see that manual testing is more appropriate. Let's take an example when the application um, UI is to be changed and it is changed for the near futures. Then any automation might be rewritten anyway. So if it is small application, then it's better to go with the manual testing. And when there is a tight deadline for your application and so far there is no automation testing is configured, then it's not a good idea to go with the automation testing. In that case, you go with the manual testing. So these are one or two scenarios where you can see that uh, test automation is not preferable, and manual testing is more preferable. Now, this is all about what is test automation. Next thing is where this Selenium fit into this test automation. So, what is Selenium? Selenium is a Selenium basically automates the browser, and it is basically used for automating the web application for testing purpose. So this is for the automatic or automating the web application for the testing purpose. It is the set of some software tools which we call the Selenium suite, and with the help of these tools we can do the testing automatically. So this is a basically a software testing tool for web applications. So I'm just emphasizing on web application. It is only for web application, not for Windows application. Okay, so when we are talking about Selenium, we should know when it was born and who has created this, in which language it was developed, and all these things. So in 2004, so this is the basically the little history of the Selenium. In 2004, Jason Huggins was testing one internal application at the ThoughtWorks, and when he was developing the application in his spare time, he developed a JavaScript library, and this JavaScript library is basically uh, to interact with the page and allow the multiple test against the multiple browsers. So say an example, he was testing on Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, etc. So he wanted to test and he created one JavaScript library. And that JavaScript library which he has created is ultimately become the Selenium core. Okay, so in Selenium core there was a concept which is called Selenium remote control, and that is basically Selenium 1. So Selenium remote control was basically the groundbreaking because no other product allowed you to control the browser from the language of your choice. So what it means, say an example, you want to control the web browser with Java language, C sharp language, Python language. So no other uh, there was no other product it was which allow you to control the browser through the language. So that's why it was widely used after this invention. Google was the one who used it um, very widely, this particular product, but there was also some drawbacks because it's a JavaScript based, right? JavaScript based engine, and the security limitation browser apply to the JavaScript. So different things becomes impossible to do. To make to make the things worse, web application became more and more powerful over the time, using all sorts of special features new browser provide, and making these restrictions more and more painful. So that was the one limitation. But and this was little bit painful for the uh, for testing because it is basically JavaScript library. So in 2006, Simon Stewart, he's from the Google. He was working on a project which is called WebDriver. So Google had long been a heavy user of the Selenium, but tester had to work around the limitation of the product. So what Simon wanted, he wanted a testing tool that spoke directly to the browser using the native method of the browser and operating system, thus avoiding the restrictions of a sandbox JavaScript environment. So the WebDriver project began with the aim to solve the Selenium pain points. So at last in 2008, these two tools, WebDrivers and Seleniums, are merged, and which is nothing but Selenium 2. So this is the little bit history that how Selenium came into the market. Now next question is what is Selenium tool? Selenium tool suite. Selenium is composed of multiple software, which is called Selenium tool suite. Okay, so first one is Selenium 2, also known as Selenium WebDriver. So Selenium 2 is the future directions of the project and the newest addition to the Selenium toolkit. This brand new addition tool basically provides all sorts of awesome features, including more cohesive and object-oriented API, as well as an answer to the limitations of the old implementation. So Selenium 2 is the basically a product of the efforts. It supports WebDriver API. And what is WebDriver API? That we will see once we will make the program in Selenium, and underlying technologies along with the Selenium 1 technologies. Okay, next one is Selenium 1. Selenium 1 is also known as Selenium RC or remote control, and this is almost deprecated and is not actively supported because we have Selenium 2 now. There is Selenium IDE, which is the integrated development environment. Integrated development environment is basically the environment where you can write the programs. So Selenium IDE is a prototyping tool for building the test scripts. And the main specialty of this tool is that it is a Firefox plugin and provides easy to use interface for developing automated tests. Selenium IDE also has the recording feature. So that is the another tool in the Selenium tool suite. Next is the Selenium Grid. So what is Selenium Grid? It allows the Selenium remote control solution to scale the large set suites and for test suites that must be run in the multiple environment. So Selenium Grid basically allows you to run your test in parallel. That is, different tests can run at the same time on the different remote machines. So these are basically tools which we used in the Selenium. Next question comes, what is the price of for the Selenium? So Selenium is free of cost and it is open source. We need not to pay anything for this. In which language we can run the code for Selenium? So you can run the code in C Sharp, Java, Python, PHP, Ruby, I believe Perl also. Which operating system where we can install the Selenium? So Selenium we can install on Windows operating system, Linux operating system, Mac operating system, and Solaris operating system. Is this a tool for the web application? Yes, it is only for web application, but now it is supporting mobile and Android-based applications. So which browser Selenium support? Selenium support Internet, Firefox, Chrome, Safari, Opera, HTML unit, Android. So for Android, basically there is a Selendroid or Epinum we use to support the Selenium. So these are the browsers which Selenium support. So I believe this would be the only lecture where we are not doing the any hands-on. The other lectures after this will be almost, I will say 90% will be the hands-on. So let's rock on and start our first Selenium test case in our next lecture. Thanks for watching and thanks for keeping the support.